Hey travel friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kim. This is Kim After 50, where we talk about a whole lot of travel and a little bit of midlife pivot, just starting my life over after the age of 50 and realizing that this is the best part, y'all. So today I want to talk about something that I have wanted to talk about for a while. I've wanted to do this video for a while because if I had $1 for every time somebody said to me, "Oh, I wish I could travel alone," or "It looks like you're having fun, but I could never do that." If I had $1 for every time somebody said something like that, I might not be rich, but I could book another cruise. I would have enough dollars to book another cruise. So today we're going to talk about some of the most common myths that I have encountered about solo cruising. So whether you've been thinking about solo cruising, you're just curious about it, you have one booked, or you are a solo cruiser and you're gonna help me bust these myths in the comments, this one is for you. Okay, let's start with the most common one, and that is, aren't you lonely? No, that myth, we're gonna bust that one. I am not lonely. I meet people everywhere. I meet people at breakfast. I meet people in the hot tub. I meet people in the casino. I meet people in the main dining room. I meet people everywhere all over the ship. So if I want to have those conversations and hang out with other people, it's always available to me. In fact, somebody put a comment on my last video about solo cruising, and they said they always meet people because people are so fascinated and they want to talk about the fact that you're cruising solo. And that is so true. People just want to hear about it. They want to hear how you got brave enough to do it, where you've been, how it goes. So there are so many people to talk to, hang out with, connect with later on the cruise. But if I don't want any of that conversation, if I just want to hang out by myself and enjoy my own company, I'm completely able to do that. Solo cruising gives you options, not isolation. Myth number 2. Don't you feel unsafe? Again, no, we're busting that myth. I do not feel unsafe. A cruise ship is like a floating city. You have everything you have in a city, you have on a cruise ship. So you do have 24/7 security. In addition to the regular security, the crew, part of their job is to make sure that you're enjoying yourself, but to also look out for your safety. There are jails on a cruise ship because, you know, every now and then they need to be used. I wonder how often they get used. I wonder. But no, I don't feel unsafe, but it is the same thing as when I'm home. Use your common sense. I do have a video, I'll link it in the description box, of some safety tips for when you are solo cruising. But yeah, no, I don't feel unsafe at all. In fact, I often tell people, I think cruising is a great way to start your solo travel adventures. Myth number 3, it's way more expensive. Well, this one is half true. There is sometimes a solo supplement, but there are workarounds. There are casino offers, there are last minute deals, there is planning way ahead so that you get the best rates, because if you book out really far, you get really good rates. There are some cruise ships that do have solo cabins, and there are specials sometimes where cruise lines do not charge the solo supplements. There are ways to get free cruise offers. There are workarounds to this. Myth number 4, people are gonna think you're weird. Girl, ain't nobody thinking about you. They are enjoying their vacation. And here's the truth. If they are sitting back and judging you and the way you're cruising and the fact that you're alone, they are the weird ones because they should be minding their own business, minding their own fun, and enjoying their vacation. People not thinking about you. And in fact, I have only received encouragement and compliments from other cruisers when we have a conversation about the fact that I'm solo. The first time I really realized that I was being brave in this new life, if you don't know, I got divorced about 7-8 months ago. And after that, I started living on cruise ships part-time. I took 4 solo cruises in the month of December. And I never realized that that was brave. It was talking to another passenger who was a stranger about how my life had kind of just turned upside down, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to create a new life at the age of 50. And I was telling her that that's kind of why I was doing all this solo cruising, and how much I had learned about myself and how much confidence I had gained and how I had become excited about this second part of my life. And she told me I was brave. And that's kind of when I realized, girl, you're a little bit brave. So I've never had anybody say anything weird. I've only had encouragement from fellow passengers. But if somebody is thinking anything negative about me and being solo and cruising solo and whatever, they're the weird ones, not me, because I'm having a good time. Tip number 5, girl, not 5. Tip number 5. Is it weird to eat alone all the time? Well, you don't have to eat alone all the time. You can always ask to be added to a table. On cruise ships, they have big tables that seat like 8, 10, 12 people. And they'll put a few different cabins at that one table together. And you get to meet your fellow passengers and strike up great conversations and maybe kindle the beginning of what could be a friendship. Or you can choose to eat alone. The truth is, most of the time I choose a solo table. I like to read while I'm eating. I like to look out over the water while I'm eating. I like to think while I'm eating. One of my tips that I learned from Poverty to Paradise is I can bring my AirPods and watch my movie while I'm eating. But often when I'm at a solo table, the tables are so close to each other that I end up talking to the people at one of the tables beside me and having a really great conversation. So no, you're not gonna feel weird eating by yourself. There will be other people eating at tables by themselves, but if you just want company during dining, you can ask to be seated at a table with other cruisers. Myth number 6, do you get bored? We're gonna bust this one. It's 80% false. I very, very, very seldom feel bored on a cruise ship, but just like at home, sometimes I feel bored. But I was raised by a grandmother who said only boring people get bored. So I was just raised to find something to get unbored when I feel bored. And so I'm the same way on a cruise ship. There's always trivia, there's always a show, a comedian, a spa, a balcony with a great view. If you don't have a balcony cabin, a deck with a great view. I bring books for me to read and I bring books for me to listen to. There's always people to go down and people watch, but there's always something to do. But y'all, if there is nothing to do, you know what there is that you can always do? Take you a good nap. A good nap, friends. Nothing better than that sea rocking you to sleep. So no, I don't deal with boredom on a cruise ship. And like I said, if I do have a moment where I'm like bored, my grandmother kicks in, only boring people get bored, and I go find me something to do. Myth number 7, solo cruising is enjoyable for you, Kim, because you are an introvert. We're gonna bust that one too. I can't speak from firsthand experience because, friend, I am an introvert's introvert. But solo travel is for anyone who just wants flexibility and freedom and not have to take anyone else's schedule, finances, or mood into consideration when making their plans. Myth number 8, solo travel is great as a last resort. No, ma'am. For many of us, solo travel is our first option. I don't have to check anyone's schedule. I go when I want, where I want, how I want. I stay for as long as I want. That is the freedom of solo travel. Number 9, I don't have enough time. I feel like I would need a full week. We're gonna bust that myth. Even a 2-night cruise can be the reset that you need. And I would sometimes encourage a shorter cruise, not necessarily a 2-night, but a shorter cruise if you are a first-time solo cruiser or a first-time cruiser, just so that you can kind of get a feel for what it's like before you commit to a longer cruise. Myth number 10, you will feel guilty for leaving your family. We are busting that myth. Listen, you matter too. And solo cruising does not mean you love your people any less. It just means you're aware that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you understand the importance of taking care of you so that you can joyfully take care of all the people in your family that matter and that you are responsible for taking care of, because it ain't your responsibility to take care of everybody. If you knew me 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, you would know that I lived for my children, like 100%. One of my daughters even said I poured my life out into them. Like, I lived for my children. I have a video up about how I was abandoned as a newborn baby. I think my trauma response was to cling to my children. So I would always say to my kids, like, you will never turn around and not see me. I always have your back. You will never turn around and not see me standing there. And then one of my sisters said, Kim, maybe sometimes they want to turn around and not see you standing there. And it just hit me, like, why would they want that? But yes, so I know what it's like to have that guilt of anytime you do something for you, whether it's spend money on you, take time away for yourself, to feel that guilt. And I just really want to free you of that, because I am a better, happier, more at peace mother when I take time away from myself. Now, my children are all young adults. So when they were little, no, I could not have taken 2 to 3 solo trips a month without them. We wouldn't have had the money for it, and it just wouldn't have made sense because I was actively parenting them. But now they are all young adults. 2 of them still live at home. But I am better for them because I'm doing this for me. And I have 4 daughters. And to say that they are proud of me is an understatement. They love this new mom that they're seeing. They love seeing their mom take care of herself. So the next time someone hits you with one of these myths, please send them this video. Drop me a palm tree in the comments if you stuck around for this long. And of course, if any of this resonated with you, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to the video. I want to know, what is the most common myth that you hear about solo traveling, or if you're telling yourself a myth about solo traveling? If you have a question about solo traveling, drop it in the comments below. I will see you all on the next video, hopefully one day at sea, or maybe somewhere else in this big, beautiful world. Bye-bye.